Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a super exciting video today. Today I am talking with Dr. Bonehead, who is like the foremost person to talk to on anything Tower of God, and we're going to be doing a Q&A today about Tower of God in general, me playing Rachel, and all sorts of other fun stuff. The part 1 of this series is going to be over on his channel, so make sure to go check out that video first and then come back here to watch the part 2.
Awesome.
Cool.
Let's
Joe,
do
I'm
this.
so excited.
Yeah, me too. There's so many amazing questions that were submitted on Reddit, and I had a hard time picking the best ones, but this is gonna be fun.
Cool. Let's jump in.
Let's go. All right. So first question comes from Strange Place 37. What are your own honest thoughts on Rachel? Do you think you share any traits with her personality? And this is my own addition to this is answer carefully, because you don't know how this is gonna end.
I really hope not. I really hope I don't share any traits with her. I mean, I think she's a good actress. I mean, I admire and applaud her commitment to her deviousness, if you will. I have a lot of thoughts about her. I think my biggest thought about her is she's young, so my hope is that she can learn from her mistakes. But at the same time, I also think she's pretty far gone.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, if you really like backstab your best friend like that, that's pretty bad.
It's not like you're irredeemable, but it's a bit of a tough hole to crawl out of. You know, you have a tough job ahead of you. No, that's totally fair. Gate of Truth 201 asks, what are your theories for Rachel's character going forward, depending on how far into Tower of God you are?
I've only, story-wise, been up to season 1, because obviously anytime that something is adapted, there's changes and there's things like that, and my version of Rachel is true to the anime version. So I'm only there, and I have been not wanting to look forward because we don't know what's happening with season 2, and one, I don't want to get myself like overly excited, like, oh my gosh, all this cool stuff. And 2, as the actor, they took really great care in the process of it on not telling me secrets and not telling me stuff about Rachel as we recorded. So it was kind of intentional. I obviously am looking forward to a Bomb Rachel confrontation. I hope he gives her a piece of his mind, because she broke his poor little heart. And if Rachel does have a redemption arc, I hope it's she's gotta do something really good.
It's incredibly hard for me to just be like, yep, for sure.
Yep.
Can't say anything. Next question here from Riley Kohaku. What ending do you hope Rachel will get?
I mean, part of me is like, I hope she dies.
Oh shoot, okay.
I mean,
interesting.
Okay, like 2 things. Like, okay, if Rachel's becomes the full big bad evil, I hope she gets her just desserts. And if she's on a redemption arc, to me this leads towards person who started as the villain,
right,
really tries to do everything, and then the end is the ultimate sacrifice to save Bomb or something like that.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think Rachel's gonna live happy. I don't know. At least that's my thought. Also, I'm okay, she's narrating, because she narrates the beginning.
At the top exists everything in this world, and all of it can be yours.
My always thought with any type of omnipresent narrator is are they narrating from beyond the grave? Why do they know all this?
But one way or another, you don't think Rachel's gonna get to the top, she's gonna see the stars, and it's just gonna be a happy ending on top of the tower for Rachel.
I mean, maybe she'll see the stars and then die. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of dramatic finish.
In my opinion, it's gotta be. We'll see.
Right. I guess we'll see. We'll find out. Next question here. Super Kami Guru 15 asks, how was your reaction when you learned that Rachel was going to portray Bomb at the very end?
They didn't actually verbally tell me when I was in the booth. They just they just pulled up the scene for me to dub, and they did so I had been playing the whole scene. The whole first part where she's sitting on their little space, on their little ship thing, and they're sailing through. I thought that was like honest to goodness, like played sincerely.
Oh,
so until the moment that she pushed him, I literally looked at our director and I was like, what's happening? I was so confused. And she just had this like devious little grin on her face because she knew, but she didn't think to tell me. Yeah, I didn't know. Literally, even starting that scene, I didn't know. So
wow. That's like, it sounds cruel. Like, how could you not? But it probably was in service to your performance.
Yeah. And then, because I think that so like when I auditioned for her, the audition was like 14 to 16, super sweet, kind, loving, and warm. And I think if I had known at all that she was going to be bad, I would have played that very differently, and I probably wouldn't have gotten it. Because, I mean, the whole reason she is able to betray him is because of how good she plays it.
Right.
So I know they did it on purpose, and it would have been a very different role. I would have probably been like, oh, I probably would have like added in a lot more like hints to that something was gonna happen that wouldn't have served the piece.
That is interesting. Yeah, I can see that. Like, I can see the entire reasoning behind it, and it's cool that like even for the casting call, they were just looking for the princess, you know, sweet character.
Yeah.
Because that she appears like that, you know. I mean, that's her character until you learn that.
And I remember going in for my very first session, because when I got cast, I thought it was like a guest star character. I didn't know that it was one of the leads. Because they gave me very little information. So it wasn't until I was leaving the session when they were like, see you next week, that I was like, oh, I have a job again next week. Okay.
This is consistent. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's voiceover so much of the time. It's like you just kind of show up and do what they say, and then you're not quite sure what you're working on all the time. But I remember in my session, they were like, oh, we love it. Like, she's such a Disney princess. And I was like,
okay.
I remember being like, I know, isn't she just like the sweetest cinnamon roll? She's so cute. And meanwhile, they're probably laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Next question here. We have a question from Dennis the Menace. How could you hurt poor Bomb like that? Sad face.
I know. How?
Come on.
It's so cruel.
What's wrong with you?
How cool must those stars be to like commit homicide? Like, I don't know.
Right. To someone that you like spent your entire life like basically raising.
Yeah. I want to know about Rachel's backstory, because there's definitely that when we have the last episode where we get her whole reasoning why. Like, there's all this stuff about her talking about how bitter she was about like having him tag along, and I just like, I don't know, I need to know more.
Right. It can't just be like as simple as it was shown, right?
Like, where did Bomb come from? I don't know. I mean, I could come up with so many like weird theories, but I won't.
Doubtful Pineapple asks, Tower of God as an anime was quite novel for being an anime with a Korean webtoon as a source. Was the experience any different to how it normally was?
No, it actually was really... I didn't notice any differences on the dubbing end. However, I mean, this is, I think, the first anime I've done that was not completely internal. Like, every other Japanese anime I had done was either a pilot done to be seen if they wanted to actually finish producing the whole series for American audiences. So, I mean, it was just cool in general to be a part of an anime that's done and out in the world. But I didn't notice anything crazy different.
The next question is coming from Bobby with like 10 Ys, HYH. What did you think of Kevin Penkins' soundtrack?
I love Kevin's soundtrack.
Yes.
There are a few tracks that I listen to like while I'm working or sending emails and stuff like that. It's just so good. When I see you in Capone, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with it.
The next question, this is kind of a two-part. Two people asked the same thing. We have WWY009 and Mochi Monk both asked, which character is your favorite other than Rachel and Bomb? If not for Rachel, which character would you have liked to play?
I would have wanted to probably play, I can never say his name, Head on. I would have wanted to play him, mostly because I would never get cast as a character like him, and he is terrifying but also like so mysterious. And I really love Chris Hackney as Kun. a lot.
I see. The inferior mind so easily allows itself to be manipulated and controlled.
I think it's such a great role, so nuanced, and I love the friendship that he and Bomb have.
Don't bother. The way your knees are shaking, I doubt you could catch a rabbit in a cage.
Okay, Doru Sonic asks, how was the process of getting the role? I know you touched on it a little bit, but like, how did you stumble across it and the audition process?
Yeah, so I actually auditioned for Rachel and Princess Yuri Jihad at the same time. I auditioned for both of them, again, not really knowing what it was, thinking that they were both guest star spots for a project that was already going. And yeah, I submitted my reads in probably December of 2019. And then we jumped right into recording in January or like the first week of February. And we got quite a few sessions in until quarantine. And then we moved over to working from home. But the audition process was actually really simple. I just had a first round audition. I didn't have callbacks or anything like that, which is what also led me to be like, oh, this is a small role. Yeah, it was actually really simple. I got it through my agents. They know
awesome.
I love dubbing, so they always send me dubbing stuff.
That's so cool that it worked out like that. I mean, so like, as far as quarantine goes, it's impressive that they were able to keep the sound quality because of the change, you know, like just keeping it sounding relatively the same.
They were really awesome. They made sure that they really supported the cast to make sure that we had the best chances of getting the best audio as possible. We each, I think I had probably 2 sessions with the engineer that was literally I had never worked from home before.
Okay.
I went from having my Yeti microphone to audition on, to having that be my entire studio mic, because I didn't have the money at the time to upgrade to like what I have. Like right now I have a Rode NT1A, which I love.
That's
but
what I have. Rode NT1. It's so good.
Such a good mic. But like I didn't have that money to drop like $400-$500 on a studio setup right at the top of quarantine. I remember being so stressed because I was like, oh, if I don't get this set up properly, they will recast me. Like I was just like convinced that would happen. And I remember I was so panicked that I had my Blue Yeti turned the wrong way. And we couldn't figure out why I was having mic problems. And it was literally because I had turned it the wrong way. Because like I consider myself pretty good with tech. Except when I'm stressed. When I'm stressed, all logic leaves my brain. It was an adventure. There's also too like the added issue and like the trick of like no one is in the room with you and like it's harder to get everyone on the phone because there's the Zoom and stuff like that. Like I remember the week before we aired, I got called in for a re-record session because they realized that I had recorded Bomb's name wrong incorrectly for the entire season.
I was gonna ask you about that because you told me that before and that blew my mind.
So from auditions through the entire recording session, me and the entire cast had been saying BAM. Like Bam Bam and Pebbles from like the Flintstones. And then I'm not sure who like was either watching and was like, that's not right. But someone on the creative team called I guess they notified us that like, hey, we gotta re-record every time you say Bomb's name. So all of this first episode was recorded in studio, except for the line, "This is the story of Rachel, the girl who climbed the tower so that she could see the stars."
Okay.
That's in studio, and Bomb. The boy that wanted her or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Just that line from the pilot or from episode 1 is recorded on this mic.
The girl who climbed the tower so she could see the stars. And Bomb, the boy who needed nothing except her.
And like they mixed it so good, and it's like me sitting on my floor like crisscross applesauce underneath all my clothes, like talking to my little mic, like. So
that's kind of incredible though, like because going from the studio to you in that position, like it's so great how they're able to make it, because I didn't know. I've heard that before. I didn't notice it all.
I don't know what like witchcraft happened or like what magic they did, but it was beautiful.
Did something.
They did something like I don't know what.
I love that story because I'm someone who I got into Tower of God because I was looking to dub YouTube. Me and my YouTube friends, it was a thing to like do like comic dubs. I found Tower of God and I was like, I'm gonna start dubbing this thing. And I received a lot of flack because I pronounced his name as Bomb in the first episode. All the comments were like, "Oh, how dare you, bomb, like explosion? Like, what do you do?" There's so many comments, and I remember being like, "Did I say it wrong?" And so it's validation. After 6 years, thank you. You have validated me.
We have it straight from the source. Bomb is correct.
Yes, let's go.
And it was important enough that they re-recorded all 20 of us the week before the show came out. So
so it clearly was important to the team. Tasty Watermelon asks, what kind of thoughts or advice do you have for getting into voice acting, more so as a fun hobby?
Okay, that's a great question. I think if you're looking at it in terms of a fun hobby, you have there's a lot of great places. I mean, I think first and foremost, whether or not you want to get into voice acting for fun or for turning it into a career, finding acting classes or theater companies or getting into acting in any capacity is so helpful, just because it flexes your muscles, and so much of stage and on-camera acting can so easily equate into a voice acting performance. But I'm also a big believer of make your own stuff. Find people that have like-minded goals and ideas and stuff that they want to create, because when you're bouncing off people who are as passionate as you grow very quickly. So whether it's dubbing your own stuff or writing your own scripted podcast, so many things. There's so many casting calls on Twitter for different indie games and small budget games and stuff like that. And student films, student animation projects and video game projects. There's opportunities everywhere. Yeah. And then watch everything, because you learn from watching. I'm a firm believer of see who's working and what they're doing that's really good, and observe.
Yeah, observe. Right. So you're saying their homework is to watch anime. Watch anime.
Yeah.
Cool.
Watch anime. Yeah.
That sounds like fun to me. It's some good homework. The final question here comes from No Enthusiasm 969, who asks, is life good?
Life is good. Life is good. Life is very busy. Life is very, very busy, but it's very, very good. Can't complain.
Yeah. Can't complain. That's a good answer.
How's life for you? Life good for you?
Life's good for me. Same exact thing. Busy, but I tend to think of busy as good as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here for the part 2 of our Q&A session. Please, everyone, make sure to go check out Joe's channel, Dr. Bonehead, for part 1. We've just had a blast, so yeah. And thank you so much again. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.